It is 8 p.m. and time for the news on Legacy Development Television. Thanks for joining us. Onto our headline, individuals have been called upon to jealously uphold and promote their vernaculars as it remains the identity of a people. We shall be bringing to you details of this story and more soonest. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks for joining us on this edition of the 8 p.m. newscast on Legacy Development Television. Weeks after the major national dialogue, Cameroonians are still in suspense over the final outcome of the major national dialogue, which to many now rests at the mercy of the head of state. Amidst this controversy, development actors are categorical that prolonging the implementation of the resolutions is highly detrimental to the swift development of the nation, as this reporter tells us in the following report. It was with great enthusiasm that Cameroonians received and welcomed the news of the major national dialogue, hoping that the dialogue will restore genuine justice and sunshine in the nation, which has for the past 3 years been rough-handed by the socio-political crisis ongoing in the two restive northwest and southwest regions. Meantime, for over 3 weeks counting from September 4th, many Cameroonians are in a state of limbo over the delay towards the implementation of the resolutions of the major national dialogue, which is already making headlines in most national newspapers. The Guardian Post release of Tuesday, October 22, for example, captions in one of the front page headlines, and I quote, "Is Biya waiting for midwife to deliver on national dialogue recommendations? The case is indifferent in the Voice newspaper and a host of others." As the implementation of the resolutions prolong, legal minds and development actors are concerned about the growth of the nation, which to them is at stake.
The delay already have an impact negatively because it is just like keep somebody somewhere waiting when you know actually what to give to that person, but you are not actually bringing the thing to fruition. The person knows that this is what you are supposed to give me, but you are keeping him away from that thing. The delay will affect us negatively. There is still fighting everywhere in the two regions. Schools have not yet resumed. So the delay has already acted negatively.
The delay in the implementation of the dialogue is causing a lot of uncertainty, and people are wondering how long it's going to take for it to be implemented. Whether it's school, whether it's businesses, whether it's activities, they all survive based on economic environment, and when they ensure that the environment is certain, when there's some security and guarantee, businesses can strive. If you go to the interiors or the villages and sub-towns within the Anglophone regions, you realize that things are not moving. It has a direct effect on businesses on the ground and the general health of the crisis as a whole.
According to them, the government should consider the implementations of the resolutions a top priority, as lives of many plus the development of the nation to an extent stands at the mercy of the yet implemented resolutions.
For me, the government had acted fast by coming out with a special status and try to calm down the tempers. But the government, being what it is, if you look at what happened, now when the constitution was amended in 1996, it has taken 23 years for them to put into effect what is decentralization. But they went for dialogue. They are still talking about decentralization, something which has failed for the past 23 years. Now they come with another funny name that it will be effective decentralization. My recommendation is that this government should go back to the 1961 arrangement for peace to return. What is wrong for the government to come down to the people and say, okay, we understand you. Let us now sit together and understand ourselves and come out of this quagmire.
Generally, everybody was expecting the dialogue to be top priority, the resolutions of the dialogue to be top priority for the government. But again, when you look at this, the Anglophone crisis and the resolutions there are issues of national importance. And one would only but imagine that there shouldn't be any other thing that should be top on the president's list or desk that is more important than the Anglophone crisis, because this is something that many people have died, many people still continue to die, the fighting is still ongoing. And when the president came, I saw the appointment of SDOs and GOs, so one begins to wonder which is more important. We are talking about effective decentralization whereby SDOs, governors, DOs will be disempowered and more power will be given to local councillors and mayors. Everybody expected that within a week those things should have been implemented, but be it as it may, we are still hoping that the powers that be will treat that as a matter of emergency because lives are at stake.
It is thus hoped that the powers that be would consider the plea of the masses and make hay while the sun shines, since community development can innovatively occur in a serene atmosphere. On to other news items. Expressing oneself with the use of a community language best described as vernacular was a pleasurable lifestyle many decades ago, but today many consider that as being primitive, and as a result our vernaculars are rapidly fading away. But what really is the importance of upholding and promoting our vernaculars? Mr. Tinsoba Mubarak, a final year student of Masters in Conference Interpreting, educates us in the following opinion.
We're talking about community languages, which you call vernacular languages. Those are languages that are part and parcel of our identity as Africans. So, for example, you speak Echakam and I speak More, so these are our community languages. We identify with our communities. That's all about community languages. Our vernaculars are dying, our community languages are dying because we seem not to realize the importance that they have. We are even ashamed to speak it because we would rather speak French or English or German or any other imported language or foreign language. Another reason why our vernacular or community languages are dying is that we don't write them. It's very important for us to promote our community languages, firstly because that would be part of the African continent's renaissance. We want to gain our identity back. We want to be proud of ourselves, of what belongs to us, what no one can take from us. So it's also important because it's like we're sitting on gold and not knowing, and the others, the foreigners, would come and tap into our languages, and they'll be working in these languages and selling back the products to us. I think we can promote our community languages by firstly changing our mindset. No one should be ashamed to speak their mother tongue, the community language or the vernacular language. So it starts by speaking it at home. Like parents should stop preventing children from speaking Echakam or Mure at home, because like they're killing the identity of those children. They're unrooting them from their culture, from their communities. We should also value our language. Writing is also important. We need to write the languages. We need to create alphabets that are adapted to our languages, alphabets that are appealing to the communities, because it wouldn't be of use to create alphabets that people won't use because they seem to be difficult and not really appealing to the people. And teaching is also important. The very first one is that you're no more part of your culture. You're no more part of your community. So don't speak your community language. You're not really part of the community. And you're missing on your identity. You're missing on the continent's renaissance, cultural renaissance. My last word to the public: no one should be ashamed to speak community language. And by speaking it, we're being proud of it. We're helping keep our identity. We are being part of content creation on the continent, which is very important nowadays in the 21st century.
Mr. Tinsoba Mobarak, conference interpreter, educating us and highlighting the need for individuals to uphold and promote their vernaculars, which is part of culture and identifies or remains the identity of a people. It is the 8 p.m. newscast, and we are bringing it to you live from the hills of Sopo in the city of excellence, Buea. And on to other news, over 30 young graduates on professional internship with LUKMEF Cameroon have benefited from a one-day training workshop on writing an award-winning project. According to the CEO of LUKMEF Cameroon, Mr. Tanyi Christine, the training falls in line with LUKMEF Youth Professional Internship Program, which aims at empowering young graduates with work experience that will suffice them be solution providers in the society. You have the details, Kingsley Eno.
With much enthusiasm, these young graduates are willing to contribute to nation building. They are, however, cognizant of their limitations, so the vibrant youth decided to outsource the appropriate solution by taking advantage of the second phase of the LUKMEF Youth Professional Internship Program, recently launched in the town of Buea, southwest region of Cameroon.
The current training falls within the framework of the LUKMEF Youth Professional Internship Program, which is actually in its second round. This is intended to build the capacity of young graduates as well as other self-motivated young persons who, for one reason or the other, are seeking for jobs but cannot find jobs. We opted to receive them in LUKMEF to be able to actually build their capacity. Of course, LUKMEF as a development organization, we depend a lot on solving community problems, and to be able to do that, we write projects. So all these youths, about 30 of them, for them to be able to fit squarely into what we do, we need to build their capacity around writing winning grant proposals.
Writing a grant winning project is often a hard nut to crack by many young entrepreneurs and development actors. However, according to the CEO of LUKMEF, project writing is as simple and interesting as ABC, provided the writer understands the intricacies.
Project is just telling somebody the problem and telling somebody what you think the solutions are and making sure that your solutions are real. First thing they must have in mind is that you are going into a competition. There are other people who are also writing grants to the same funding agency like you. So your project needs to be pure, your project needs to be informative, your project needs to be persuasive, your project needs to show beyond reasonable doubt that it can deliver on the set of activities, and that the activities are actually having relevance to the problem that you want to solve. Of course, there is also the next part of it. We talk about objective and realistic budgeting. Even if the project is good, but your budget is way not realistic, it's likely not going to be funded. And when we talk about being realistic, we are not only talking about small budgets. If a budget is too small that it cannot deliver on the project activities, it's not realistic. If the budget is too big, that is not, it shows that there will be excesses when the project is funded, it's also not realistic. That the community that you are talking about is a community and that you are not repeating something that somebody has tested in that same community or elsewhere that failed. You know, so your project must also be able to look at how innovative is the project? What are you trying to do that some other persons have not done, or what are you doing different?
The one-day training workshop, which took place at the Hope Center of LUKMEF in Buea, to these trainees is a skill-filled opportunity they have been yearning for.
The workshop has been very, very enriching. A lot has been learned so far, though we are still at the middle of the workshop. But of course, the beginning of it has given us a lot of information. So we've learned a lot about grant writing, which of course has shaped my understanding individually on how to write an award-winning grant project. I think so far it has been wonderful.
The expectation for the training was to know how to identify projects, and so far we've learned a bit about that, how to go about it, the identification. We've noticed that mostly to identify projects, it has to be focused more on the community, what they need.
Since professional internship remains one of the platforms for self-development, graduates are thus encouraged to always make use of available training opportunities like the LUKMEF Youth Professional Internship Program in order to obtain valuable skills appropriate for solving societal problems and hence development.
Kingsley Eno ending that report, which takes us to the end of this edition of the News on Legacy Development Television. We'll leave you with a reminder of a headline. Amongst other issues, you have been informed that individuals have been called upon to jealously uphold and promote their vernaculars as it remains the identity of a people. Thanks for taking the rendezvous with us, and we leave you in the company of interesting and highly educative programs on Legacy Development Television, your #1 communication medium for peace, social justice, and development. Do have a blissful night.